Uhuru, Uhuru, everyone. Welcome to White Solidarity with Black Power Live, a monthly event hosted by the African People's Solidarity Committee. Today, we are talking about the latest attack on Black voting rights and how white people can stand in solidarity with the struggle for Black power. My name is Brendan, and I'm a member of the African People's Solidarity Committee, which is under the leadership of the African People's Socialist Party. I want to start off by saluting our leadership, Chairman Omale Yeshitela. I also want to salute Deputy Chair Onizane Yeshitela, who has put on the ground Chairman Omale Yeshitela's vision of the Black Power Blueprint and who leads the more than 50 economic institutions of the party. I also salute African People's Solidarity Committee Chairwoman Penny Hess, who will be joining us on today's program. The African People's Socialist Party formed APSC in 1976 with the mandate to organize other white people to build the movement of reparations and genuine solidarity with the liberation of African people. This is APSC's 50th year organizing white solidarity with Black power. In today's event, we will be sharing presentations by Afia Nwangaza and Chairman Omale Yeshitela at recent events held by the Black is Back Coalition and by the International People's Democratic Uhuru Movement, where they gave a history of the Voting Rights Act of 1965 and discussed the recent U.S. Supreme Court ruling in the case of Louisiana versus Callais that crushes protections the act sought to provide, particularly related to how congressional district maps are drawn. Before we get started, if you are tuning in on YouTube, make sure to like and subscribe to get alerts whenever we go live or post a new video. If you're tuning in on Facebook, please share this live stream with friends and let us know in the comments where you're tuning in from. We'll have a Q&A later in the program, so take notes and enter your questions in the comments on YouTube or Facebook or in the Q&A feature for everybody joining on Zoom. I also want to let everyone know that this event is a fundraiser for the Uhuru Solidarity Center, which is the national headquarters of the APSC and the Uhuru Solidarity Movement. This beautiful organizing center where I'm here, located on the south side of St. Louis with a banner outside that reads Unity Through Reparations. This building is owned by the party's Black Star Industries, and we have a goal tonight to raise at least $500. So please go to apscuhuru.org/donate to make a contribution. We are going to start off with USM Chair Jesse Neville, who is going to give us a brief summary on what the recent ruling was about. Uhuru, Jesse.
Uhuru, Brendan, and Uhuru, everybody. I'm very excited to be here, honored as always to participate in this monthly webinar series hosted by the African People's Solidarity Committee, of which I'm a proud member, working under the leadership of the African People's Socialist Party, Chairman Omale Yeshitela and Deputy Chair Onizane Yeshitela. I want to give my deep salute to our leadership and also to Chairwoman Penny Hess, who we'll be hearing from in just a little bit, the chairwoman of the African People's Solidarity Committee, on this momentous year that we are in, the 50th anniversary of the African People's Solidarity Committee. And I'm excited to hear the videos, the analysis of this important development in the attack on the democratic rights of African people in this country that will be given by Afia Nwangaza and Chairman Omale Yeshitela and discussion by Chairwoman Penny Hess. So I will not be going into too much depth in terms of the political analysis of this. I will instead just give you some factual updates on what happened with this Supreme Court decision earlier this month, Louisiana versus Callais. So first, I wanted to say one thing real quick, that what we're talking about is the Voting Rights Act of 1965, which was created by its own definition or how it's presented. It was created specifically to enforce the 15th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution. The 15th Amendment being that amendment which purports to prevent the discrimination in voting rights for African people and other oppressed peoples. And the 15th Amendment was ratified in 1870. It prohibits the federal government and state governments from denying or abridging a citizen's right to vote based on that person's race, color, or previous condition of servitude. And it was the last of the three amendments referred to as the Reconstruction Amendments or Civil War Amendments that also includes the 13th Amendment, which is often referred to as the amendment that abolished slavery and involuntary servitude, even though in actuality, as the chairman and the Uhuru movement have pointed out, it actually legalized slavery within the prison system by making slavery legal for those convicted of a so-called crime. And the 14th Amendment that had to do with citizenship rights and equal protection under the law. So these amendments that are referred to as the Reconstruction Amendments were passed based on the aftermath of the Civil War and the era known as Reconstruction, and the idea that the amendments in the 10 amendments known as the Bill of Rights were not being enforced for African people. And then, of course, years and decades of these amendments not being enforced led to and the continuation of oppression of African people and the denial of their right to vote, of their right to participate in democratic space. And African people fought for their democratic space, as Chairman Amal-Ishta has always said, leading to the passage of the Civil Rights Act in 1964 and the Voting Rights Act in 1965, which ostensibly were meant to require to reinforce the enforcement of those three Reconstruction amendments. So what happened with this Supreme Court decision? This is the latest and most devastating assault on the Voting Rights Act that has come from the Supreme Court. This has actually been going on for quite a while, as Afia Nungaza is going to talk to us about, where different provisions and sections of the Voting Rights Act have been struck down as supposedly being unconstitutional by the Supreme Court. But this particular ruling had to do with something called Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act, which prohibits any voting rule or procedure that discriminates on the basis of race, color, or language minority status. So this was the section of the Voting Rights Act that provided the legal basis for African people to sue or take other legal action in the event that a government drew district maps that essentially diluted their voting power to, down to nothing or severely diluted it, which doesn't mean it wasn't still happening, but Section 2 was the legal basis for African people being able to challenge, districting that was designed to liquidate their voting power through, legal means. So that's what Section 2 was about. And if you go to the next slide, what happened with this Supreme Court decision came out of a situation in Louisiana where the conditions of African people are incredibly brutal, colonial, vicious conditions. And following the 2020 census, Louisiana drew a congressional map that had only one majority African district, even though African people are about 1/3 of the state's population. Go to the next slide. So African people sued based on Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act, which is supposed to prohibit that. And they said that this drawing of the district maps in Louisiana diluted their voting power, and that was against the law according to this Voting Rights Act that was passed by Congress in 1965. A federal court agreed with these civil rights organizations that were representing African people who sued the state of Louisiana, and the federal court ordered the state to include in the district map a second majority African district. Next slide. So this is how the map looked at that point. And so here is what happened. After this map went into effect, or after this decision was made by the Federal Appeals Court, a group of white people, 12 white people who identified themselves as, quote, non-African American voters, they filed a lawsuit arguing that the creation of a second majority African district was unconstitutional and that it was in violation of one of the other Reconstruction amendments, the 14th Amendment having to do with equal protection. Go to the next slide. So this went all the way to the Supreme Court. And on April 29th of this year, just about a month ago, the Supreme Court sided with the white people, the 12 white people who sued the state of Louisiana for having redrawn the maps to create a second African district. And the Supreme Court struck down the 2024 congressional map and ruled that it was unconstitutional, that drawing a district to boost, quote, minority representation would be considered a racial gerrymander. So to be clear, they used the law that was literally, in theory, was created to protect the democratic rights and voting rights of African people and to stop, or at least provide the legal basis for African people to challenge governments when they draw district maps in such a way that is designed to undermine African people's voting power. They used that same twisted the logic of that in order to say, well, actually, it was sort of like they said, well, this is reverse racism, that they redrew a map to increase the voting power of African people because they did it for that purpose. And that would be considered doing something on the basis of race, which they claim the Constitution, which they argue the Constitution prevents or prohibits. If you go to the next slide. But that wasn't the only thing that they did in making this ruling. I mean, that would have been bad enough, okay? Ruling against the Africans who fought for a second majority African district to be added would have been bad enough. But instead, they used this as a test case in order to make a ruling on the constitutionality of Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act itself, and said that basically, in order to make a legal challenge to a district mapping decision, that the plaintiff would have to prove discriminatory intent on the part of those who drew the maps, that it wouldn't be enough just to say, hey, look, this state is 1/3 African and there's only one majority African district. The Supreme Court basically said that showing disparate impact, discriminatory impact, is not enough to challenge those gerrymandered districts, that you would have to prove intent, which is a much higher standard and which most of the time is pretty much impossible. You're not going to have a secret recording most of the time of the people drawing the map saying, oh, let's do it this way because then African people won't have the ability to influence the elections. It's absolutely an assault on and a dismantling of what was in theory meant to be a key protection of the right to African people to challenge governments federally and state level that draw maps in such a way that are designed to dilute their democratic rights and their voting power. So this was the standard before. All you had to do was show that the existing map dilutes your ability to elect a candidate of your choice. All you have to show is the impact that the existing map has, which it makes sense. But now, based on the Supreme Court decision, the Supreme Court stated that states cannot use race as the primary reason to draw a district, but they said that the court decided that it is unconstitutional unless the state can prove there was explicit intentional discrimination in the first place. Again, a nearly impossible standard to meet. So go to the next slide. Okay, so I think that's pretty much the summation. And I know that in her presentation, Afia Nwangaza goes into much more detail about the history and background of this and how this came about. So I will stop there.
Uhuru, I just wanted to really salute this event, and I just wanted to add something because I think that what we will talk about, how the Chairman Omali Shatella, is summing this question up, and that the voting the right to vote was not given by the US government. It was not granted. African people fought for it. They died for it to, in order to have that. And I think that that's a really important question, that African people fought for that. And that this is as you're saying, dismantling of rights that African people, were lynched for, were, murdered for, in history. And I think that I just think that that's a key factor that, that certainly the Chairman Omali Shatella and others are raising about this current struggle. Uhuru.
Uhuru. Thank you, Chairwoman Penny, and thank you, Chair Jesse. I think I speak for everyone on here when I say it is incredibly helpful to have a lawyer tell us all this stuff and explain it and really break it down. So now with that in mind, I want to go ahead and continue along with our program. So we're going to get some analysis on this recent ruling and here's some here's some history of the Voting Rights Act itself. So we're going to share a video from the Black is Back Coalition's event last week titled "The Voting Rights Act Then and Now." Afia Nwangaza, who is part of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, or SNCC, gives a very helpful history of the Voting Rights Act. And then after that, we will watch a presentation by Chairman Omali Shatella from a recent InPDUM Black community rally here in St. Louis, where he provides analysis on what this latest attack on voting rights means for the Black liberation struggle. So, Uhuru, let's play those videos.
Going to direct the first question to our sister Afia Nwangaza because of her her tremendous history with working for with voting rights. Why don't you tell us exactly what was this voting rights law that got enacted and why did it get enacted? Why did we need to have this?
Thank you, Uhuru. Thank you, Sister Lisa. Thank you, Black is Back Coalition, for calling this important webinar. I've been listening to various analysis and fightbacks and such ever since the U.S. Supreme Court issued its ruling, for which we probably should have been prepared, given the fact that, first and foremost, that this country has not missed an opportunity to roll back the clock and to return us to, in their mind, at best, rule of white male property owners, and at a minimum, redemption and restoration of the Confederacy and the Old South. The passage of the Voting Rights Act followed a series of other efforts to figure out what to do with us meaning Africans who were previously enslaved, forced labor, and denied reparations. The first response was to end slavery by the 13th Amendment, except for the conviction of a crime, and then they put the crime-making power in the hands of our enslavers.
Mm-hmm.
So that placed a shadow over what was supposed to be freedom or emancipation, and resulted in convict leasing and sharecropping, which was, as one author put it, slavery by another name. But then was the question of what would be our political status in the society, and especially as to protect the office holding of the winners of the Civil War. And then they passed the 14th Amendment, which provided for birthright citizenship, which, of course, Donald Trump and company at this point has submitted to the U.S. Supreme Court for reexamination and reevaluation. So we shouldn't rest easy on what the outcome of that is going to be, especially since Clarence Thomas continues to give them cover for all of the white supremacist, patriarchal, capitalist decisions that they make. At the same time, because of the resistance of the South specifically, but of white supremacists generally, we were terrorized and denied the opportunity to exercise the right to vote as a part of citizenship. And that resulted in the passage of the 15th Amendment, which said that no voting interference based on folks' prior status or of their race. However, following 1865, following the Tillman-Hayes compromise, where the northern whites withdrew from the South in order, in exchange for the South agreeing to allow Hayes to become president. Then we went into what is commonly called the Jim Crow era, where none of the so-called Civil War amendments, 13th, 14th, and 15th amendments, had any meaning, where we were terrorized and denied the exercise of the right to vote for 150 years, actually. They developed all kinds of as we see with everything else, and it has occurred with the leading up to this Callais decision, various mechanisms. For instance, during the Jim Crow era, where we had been denied en masse the right to learn to read and write, literacy tests were applied, so that in order to be able to register and vote, you had to be able to read a section and interpret it of the whatever constitution, Mississippi, Alabama, South Carolina. And of course, the person who was making this demand could or could not read himself. So he didn't know whether what you were saying was what was actually written there or not. In other instances, you had the demand, how many black jelly beans are there in a jar, and all such absurdities as that. In addition to that came the poll tax, where we were in crushing poverty, and every dime that we could get our hands on was for survival. They were demanding that we use those funds, allocate them to exercise the constitutional right to vote. That failing, then they came back with the grandfather clause, where if your grandfather could vote, then you didn't have to pass the literacy test and you didn't have to pay poll tax, that you were already just entered into the voting rolls and eligible to register and vote. So quite frankly, we've been here before, and we have not only survived, but we've thrived, we've figured it out, and we've overcome.
Right.
And
If I may ask you one question, Sister Thea, because just with the Voting Rights Act of 1965, what was it about that I guess prevented some of these things? And why is it just an act? And why does it have to be renewed?
what the Voting Rights Act of 1965 did was to revive the protections of the Civil War amendments.
Okay.
And as a result of that, it said that the Confederate States could not put in place voter suppression practices like poll taxes, like literacy tests, like grandfather clauses to prevent us from being able to exercise the constitutional right of citizenship, which is the right to vote. Out of that, any changes that they made in the laws, voting registration and exercise would have to be approved by the Department of Justice. It was called the pre-clearance section, section 5 of the Voting Rights Act. Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act required that they correct and cure any changes in voting laws, administration, practices that had the effect of disenfranchising, of preventing African people and other people of color from being able to register and vote. The Callais decision, first of all, Shelby versus Holder, gutted Section 5. Which meant that they were no longer subject to review of the changes that they made with regard to eligibility to register and vote. And the gutting of Section 2 by Callais in the most recent decision means that effect is no longer the standard, but intent becomes the standard. Therefore, as one person put it, we went from having to be a crack detective to establish effect to being having to be a fortune teller and mind reader in order to be able to say what their intent is. And using the euphemism of party, then the U.S. Supreme Court gave white supremacists across the country the permission to formulate districts, to draw the lines of district in such ways as to protect incumbents and to assure the election of other whites, leaving Black people and other people of color with no obvious recourse for representation, meaningful representation.
Vero.
Well, thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I think it's important for us to have this discussion now. It's an issue that resonates throughout the African community, throughout this country. And it is something that even some liberals, white liberals, are shuddering around because it's clear that it's another assault just on any presumption of rights that African people have. I want to make the point that rights is a legal term. It's a legal term. Rights are a legal term. And if, in fact, the law is not something that you have the benefit of, you have no rights. And if you are colonized, then the colonizer makes the law. The colonizer makes laws that do not confer rights upon you, except perhaps the rights to petition the colonizer not to treat you as badly, but certainly not the right to end your relationship to colonialism. So I think it's really important for us to understand that, one. Two, I want to acknowledge our comrades Shakura here, because I've known this sister for a very, very, very long time, down in Wichita, Kansas, and just great working with her family. She had a magnificent family that was involved in the movement. So I want to recognize that and say that is further evidence the fact that we are winning. Because sometimes you can be a passenger on a bus that's going to a particular destination, and you know that's the destination that the bus is going to, but the passengers may have all kinds of disagreements and arguments among themselves in the process of getting to that destination. That happens to us sometimes, our movement. Sometimes in the process of getting there, we disagree, we debate and struggle with each other, but we go in the same place and we're on that same bus. And that is something that's happened with our movement. It's something that's happened with the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee that we extol so much. Certainly I do as well. I want to really also acknowledge comrade to Brother James. I'm so glad to see that you're well and that you're back. And there's the comrade who never turns down an assignment. Well, let me take that back, because last time I said something like that, he corrected me in mid-sentence. I'm talking about Brother Gregory. He corrected me in mid-sentence. So I just wanted to acknowledge this comrade, and also comrades Penny Hess and Jesse Neville. And I appreciate and love these comrades so much, because they're comrades who didn't have to do it. You know what I mean? And most of them who don't have to do it don't go through this stuff. Right. And I just wanted to acknowledge these comrades. These are really serious soldiers, revolutionaries, and I appreciate it so much. Also, I just think that I've heard something about a system being broken, but the system is not broken. When it treats us this way, it's functioning the way it's supposed to function. Yeah. If it does something right by us, it's broken. Right. You understand? But it's not a broken system. And I think we need to get used to that, because there's a way we fall into ourselves, this presumption of democracy under colonialism, and there's no such thing. We've said that for the colonized, the highest expression of democracy is what? Self-determination. So that's what all of our work has been about, self-determination. In some ways, even as we are concerned about the ruling around the Voting Rights Act, and let me tell you that I was in the mix in a very serious way, organizing for voting rights, civil rights, that kind of legislation. I was on the ground working for that kind of stuff to happen. But the fact is that, and it's useful to some extent, but in many ways, these rulings confirm our position all along, that we shall not have any freedom, any rights as colonized subjects. And I think that the other thing related to that is that it exposes the treachery of the white liberals and the African petty bourgeoisie liberals who actually have fought against us when we talked about Black power, actually fought against us when we said that this system cannot serve us, and help to disarm the masses of African people who should otherwise be fighting to get our own power. So I think that where we are is a great place for us to be in, depending on our willingness to organize and to take advantage of it. Because all of the petty bourgeois forces are exposed by this thing. We're not crying. We're not crying because we lost the right to function within the colonial system in that fashion. Our objective is to end our relationship to colonialism. That's what we have to do. And we use these incidents as examples to win masses of African people to an understanding that we have to have our own power. We say, see, told you.
Yeah.
We told you, right? That we have to have our own power. And this is not some empty kind of claim or discussion we're making. We said, see, we told you, you have to have Black Power Blueprint.
Yeah.
We told you, you have to have this doula project over here.
Right.
We told you that we can make the children basketball court ourselves. We told you that these are the things that we can do with our own farms. We don't have to live in food deserts and stuff like this, and we don't have to wait for the white man, for the colonizer, to give us permission to be free, to give us permission to eat. What kind of situation is that, that you will accept
Yes.
some capacity of some foreign and alien power to give you permission to eat,
Yeah.
to grow food, etc. That's nonsensical. And the only reason it doesn't appear off the top nonsensical is because we've been doing it for a while now.
Yeah.
It's become normal, so to speak. But we don't accept that normality. I think that what we have to do, and we're calling on everybody here to participate in this. We have these rallies, and I appreciate the rallies. But the most important thing that happens here in these rallies is to go to work. We have to go to work. That's the thing that Comrade Gregory had to challenge me on. No, not that we have to go to work, because he's always done it. That's the thing I've always appreciated about Comrade Gregory. You know, if there's something to be done, generally speaking, he's been same thing can be true. You know, James and what have you. If the work has to be done, these comrades are there to do the work, and that's what we have to do. We have to build power, and so there's no mystery about this. There's no mystery about this. The system that oppresses us is human-made, man-made system. As they can create a system to oppress us, if human can create a system to oppress us, we are human too.
Yes.
We can create a system to end this oppression. We can end this oppression as human beings. This is our responsibility.
Yes.
This is why they attack us on July 29, 2022, because we're telling people about this. They want people to be in this trap. The presumption that we cannot do anything without the white man. We can't even think without the white man. They said that we wanted to be free because Russia told us to be free. They said we wanted reparations because Russia, I don't know if Russia knows a damn thing about reparations. You understand? You know, this is the kind of thing that they said. So they would deny us even the ability to think for ourselves.
Yes.
But they know we can think.
Yes.
And that's why they take away something like the Voting Rights Act from us.
Yeah.
That's why they attacked us. We're talking about the Voting Rights Act and this attack on the Voting Rights Act. We saw that before.
Yeah.
Why did they attack us on July 29, 2022? Part of the reason they attacked us is because what they said we were doing in the electoral process. We're the ones who ran candidates for office in St. Petersburg, Florida. That resulted in them sending 27 carloads of police to a normal debate for the mayor's election. And the white man to raise up and say to Jesse Neville that Jesse Neville, you don't deserve, you got your reparations when you got Barack Hussein Obama. And if you don't like it, go back to Africa. So Jesse They know what we stand for. They're not confused. They know this is not Russia talking. They know Russia has not been under the boot of U.S. imperialism. Russia wouldn't be under the boot of U.S. imperialism. etc. It's because of that. You talk about free speech. What better assault on free speech? What better example of an assault on free speech than to deny people to participate in the electoral process? Yeah. You can't go out and win people to your ideas. You can't take the ideas to the people. That's what we want to do. They know that we would take the ideas to the people. We would take the idea. We would put reparations on the ballot. Yes. We would put it on the ballot. We're going to put it on the ballot. You understand? These are the kinds of things that we do. So they kill us when they see us moving toward the capacity to do something with the vote. Yeah. You know, 1965, that's the time when they passed the Voting Rights Act. Well, what else happened in 1965? They murdered Malcolm X. Yes. 1968, they murdered Dr. Martin Luther King. 1969, they killed Fred Hampton. They assaulted Black Panther officers throughout this country. They were killing people who represented revolutionary transformation. They want to make sure that the electoral process was not accessible to us, so that by the time you had this Voting Rights Act, you wouldn't have nobody to vote for except the Democratic Party, and the Democratic Party is not a revolutionary organization. That's right. That's the thing that we stuck with, see? So we are going to build out of this. I feel pretty good about this. Mm-hmm. I want to just unite with something that was mentioned during the video that we showed. I can't show you anything that advances that African people got through voting. Exactly. Nothing. Nothing. In fact, we got the right to vote not by voting. We got the right to vote by a fierce struggle. I mean, we got the right to vote. People like to remember the Pettus Bridge incident and stuff like that, but I remember Mississippi Summer Project, where they killed Cheney, Schwerner, and Goodman for doing what? Organizing people to vote, to participate in Joe Biden's organization, to participate in Barack Hussein Obama's organization, for participating in Kamala Harris's organization. That's why they killed those people, and they will continue to do that to us also if that's what we rely on for our way forward. Yeah. But we don't rely on that. So we will build where we are. And the power is here. It's in us. I don't know how many of you are familiar with this guy used to be called Reverend Ike. I think I like Reverend Ike. Reverend Ike said that you're wasting your time when you depending on some God somewhere out there, somewhere, some other place. He said, you got to depend on the God in you. The God in you. That's what you have to depend on. And so you don't wait for some mysterious God to bring you something. We have to bring it to ourselves. Yes. This is what we need to understand. This is our responsibility. This is our task. This is what this movement is all about. So I wanted to make those points, and I also want to remind us that chants and slogans do not organization make. Right. We're going to have to do the work. Yeah. We've laid out strategic objectives for this movement. We got to carry out the strategy for this movement. I appreciate so much being in this meeting because I hear so many smart people who don't necessarily come with my understanding of everything, but they're grappling with these issues, these ideas. They reject what white power has said is the reality. Our responsibility is to recognize that there are many, many, many people out there like that. We have to take them a program. Yeah. Do you know that according to the polls that we've been watching related to this current administration, that first of all, there's an error that's made when we just blame it on Donald John Trump, everything that's happened. Trump has a base among white people, a popular base. And his base, he has accomplished something that we haven't seen since the 1980s with the presidency of Ronald Wilson Reagan. Ronald Wilson Reagan ran a similar kind of campaign that popularized among ordinary white people the assault on African people. Ronald Wilson Reagan is the one who came up with the whole idea of welfare queens, talking about African women who give everything, create everything. We the welfare queens. Right. And then you talk about Reagan, but then you've got William Jefferson Clinton, who was a Democrat.
Yeah.
He's the one who kicked African women off of this pittance called welfare after 2 years. He did that. That was Clinton who did that. So this thing is that you find yourself being bounced back and forth between two forces who are in struggle with themselves for control of your ass.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what they're in struggle with themselves around.
Yeah.
So we have to take control of our ass. And so so that we won't be, to coin a phrase, assets for anybody, like except ourselves. We have to have the confidence and courage to do this. We have to believe in our own rights, our own humanity to do that. And so much has happened to us that sometimes we question our own humanity. We have lost confidence in our own capacity as a people. People reproduce life.
Yes.
It's not like to coin a phrase by Reverend Ike that somebody in some faraway extraterrestrial place descends upon the earth and then grows some people. It's not. People produce life.
Yes.
Human beings produce life.
Yes.
If there's life, it's been created by human beings. I don't care what you saw anywhere. I don't care what the Bible says, etc. You will not find any place on earth in reality where the Bible created life. The best thing you can see is they created the Bible. And if you want to understand how to create life, you investigate life itself and the process of creating life.
Yes.
And that's the thing that we have to do. So Clinton, Biden, Reagan, Donald John Trump, all of them. I'm going to say that and then I'm going to bounce. You have a situation where there's a real serious sense of desperation that envelops the existing social system. And I don't necessarily think that its thinking representatives are conscious of being desperate, but the things they do are desperate. They're desperate because the field of operation has been so severely narrowed. The things that they are able to accomplish has been so severely diminished.
Yeah.
And so sometimes when they think they are responsible for doing things, only thing they're responsible for is moving in the direction that the struggles of the people has left open for them to move.
Yeah.
Now, anybody who's ever studied guerrilla warfare understand that that's a fundamental strategic objective. That's what I think Che wanted to do, he wanted to create a continental-wide guerrilla war in Africa. I love Che Guevara. He wanted to create a continental war, guerrilla war in Africa against colonialism. And how do you do that? Mao understood this as well. You want the enemy to come in, and then you shut the door
Yes.
once it gets in. Some of you saw that movie, probably Denzel Washington, who himself functions as an agent of some sort with the kinds of roles that he does, anti-Russian, anti-Muslim, anti-Arab kind of stuff. But he comes in, he is, I forgot, what is he supposed to be? The one who clicks the watch on. He comes in and he's talking a bunch of stuff and he locks the door. He's surrounded by all these horrible people and he locks the door. That's frightening.
Yes.
That's frightening. And this guy locks the door and we're getting ready to equalize that, et cetera. And that's what you played football, haven't you? There are people in this room who played football. I never was a football player in that not organized stuff. But there's a play that's called a trap, and it's an offensive play. The ball is shifted from the center, and then when the opponents rush in, they let them in. Open the door, don't provide any blocking at all, let them in. And then once you get in, cripple them. You understand? This is a common, strategic objective of guerrilla warfare. So we just have to organize our communities.
Yes.
And if we do that, I've seen the evidence. I've seen it with my eyes. I'm not telling something I'm speculating about. I've seen it. I've seen Africans in the communities. I've seen them in the streets. I've seen them in the middle of combat in this country. And I've seen that these young people who you see out there, they know guerrilla war. I was involved in some struggle. We worked on one occasion in St. Petersburg, Florida. And we were marching down the streets because there had been these uprisings there. And the young Africans were saying stuff like, "Is it on? Is it on?" You understand? And they was joining us marching, "Is it on?" I said, these Africans want to fight. You understand? They're not running from the police, they're running to the police. And so I called them, I called it off. I had people, to back off, and they said, "Well, why'd you do that?" I said, "Because I didn't want you running into this situation where you are going to be surrounded and run into all these forces." They say, "You don't have to worry about that." He said, "We hook and move." We hook and move. So they said they do the Muhammad Ali. And this is what they were saying right there on the street. So people they know how to deal with these forces out there. So I wanted to say that. And we're moving toward an intensive. We're going to do a lot of political education and work in the streets. You should join this. You should be a part of this work and come to the studies that we're going to be doing, training people how to do the work. This is going to be some of the most important work we're going to do. We're going to be in the traps. We're going to be on Redbud in the traps in Redbud. We're going to organize the people in the traps to join the movement. This is Fred Hampton style work. This is SNCC style work. You go where the people are, you organize the people, etc. And you can't be afraid of your own people.
Right.
You understand? So this is what it is that we're talking about. So we want people to do that. And there's going to be more discussion about participating in that fashion. We want people to volunteer to work in the African Arts Festival. There'll be thousands of people out there. We need our people out there with posters, with propaganda, with burning spears, talking to the people, working on the tables with them pies and stuff like that. They need to see us. And in us, they see themselves. This is what makes us so significant, because they see themselves in us. And that's why it's so important that we have dignified stances and things like that. So, and I know there's other stuff that has to be said, but I wanted to mention those things. And there has to be a place where people here will assume responsibility for coordinating the sale of the burning spears. Who can coordinate the sales of the burning spears? Who can coordinate the work with the volunteers who we're bringing into this process? Who's going to be the coordinator? I'm sure that Comrade Lucade, has figured all of that stuff out. But this is what we're working toward. We want people to go to work, not just come and participate in the talk fest, but help the people understand that we can change the world that we live in if we exercise our own agency as African people, Uhuru. One of the things that we ran into, this is people ask, well, how during the Garvey movement, they didn't have internet, didn't have all that stuff, and had millions of African people who joined that movement. Because what happened was, with Garvey, there was no way for African people to, during that period, to advance themselves. All the doors for any kind of advancement in the system was shut to them. And Garvey opened up all kinds of doors where you can be somebody. And you can have your own military. You can also have your own businesses and participate in those businesses. He allowed you to be somebody. And that's why people joined it, and they found him when he didn't find them. You could actually don't have to worry about whether the white man lets you vote or not. You come to vote, 50,000 people show up. That's where the red, black, and green came from. It wasn't from the white man's vote. It was from black people voting at a Garvey movement. This is the thing that we understand. Garvey did that. We can do that. And that's what our responsibility is. That's what our responsibility is. So, and then, like we have this glaring example, in my opinion, of Comrade Deputy Chair Owners Shatella. I like to mention her, partially because she's a woman. And there were people who at different times would attack us and her role. And they would say that she has this important role in the party because she's married to me. And that's just some dummy. Anybody who's ever participated with us knows just how ridiculous that is. You understand? But I like that because she's a woman. Other thing I like is because she's stone working class. I'm telling you, she came hardcore working class. I'm talking about damn near off the streets, you understand, and worked her way into a situation where she got a job, like working for a local government. And she learned from that. And in that government, she learned what governing actually, how it looked, how it functioned and stuff like that. That's what you're supposed to do. But the problem was the thing I was mentioning about Garvey, well, once the white man let these Negroes into the door, they didn't want to, they stayed in there. They didn't want to do anything for the people. They think they got this expertise and what have you, and they serve themselves. That's not what Owners in the Shatella has done. So I just wanted to say that. Thank you, Camille.
Uhuru, those were some absolutely incredible videos. I want to, major salute to Afia Nwangaza for, just really, diving into the history and explaining, how all of this, came about. And I also want to shout out Lisa Davis, who was in that video as well, the vice chair of the Black is Back Coalition. And of course, shout out to Chairman, who always has such an incredible way of taking, these national events and really putting them, relating them to African internationalism and, showing where, how this is related to, the strategy to, liberation of all, African people and all people. So just shout out to those videos, and the chat mods have placed in the chat the links to the recordings for those videos. So they are available on the Burning Spear TV YouTube channel under the live tab. And now our special guest, I want to welcome APSC Chairwoman Penny Hess. Chairwoman Penny was present when the African People's Socialist Party held the founding conference of the Solidarity Committee in the fall of 1976 and has been a cadre member of the African People's Solidarity Committee ever since. In 2001, she published the groundbreaking book, Overturning the Culture of Violence, which under the leadership of Chairman Omali Yeshitela, detailed the complicity and participation of white people in the historical assaults and colonial violence against African and other oppressed people. Uhuru, Chairwoman Penny, turning it over to you.
Uhuru, wow, what a great event. Uhuru, Comrade Brendan, Jesse, Camille, and all you comrades who are on tonight. This has been very, very inspiring. I just wanted to, of course, start out by saluting my leadership, Chairman Omali Yeshitela, Deputy Chair Onizine Yeshitela, the African People's Socialist Party, and to say how inspiring it is to be able to hear the presentations that we heard tonight from the powerful Afia Nwangaza and Chairman Omali Yeshitela, and it really makes you want to go out there and struggle. And I do want to, before I forget, call on everybody to register to attend the Black is Back Coalition's electoral workshop that is going to be, I believe, next weekend. I know we're going to hear more about that, but just going deeper into the right to vote, the struggle of African people for political and economic power over their own lives. And the chairman is in the process right now. The party is holding that intensive that the chairman was talking about. It really is in the style of SNCC, the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. The party brought comrades from around the US. There was this incredible African arts festival that was absolutely very, very powerful this past weekend, 3 days of the African Arts Festival, where African people come from all over the region. Thousands and thousands of African people were there. And the party had the booth of Uhuru Foods and, just doing outreach, selling spears. And, it was just very, very great. There was so much support for the Uhuru movement and the African People's Socialist Party and the Black Power blueprint there. So, some of us from the Solidarity Committee had the honor of being able to help work on that booth, and it was an incredible experience. So, yeah, and so now we're in the middle of this SNCC style intensive. We're doing drops in the mornings, going out. We have exercise every morning, by the way. We're out there walking or doing other kinds of exercise every single morning at 7 a.m. There are drops, putting out flyers in the surrounding community. We're watching videos, political education, discussion. It's great. We have some meals together, and it's just a very, very powerful. So it's actually going to be going on for about another week. So if you, or more actually, for about 10 more days. So if you're in the area, if you haven't joined it, come on out and join us. Join under the leadership of the African People's Socialist Party for this powerful, powerful, intensive process that is going on right now. And I really want to, just unite with what the chairman has been raising. We wanted to talk about this voting rights issue, which has been in the paper, sort of been out there a lot based on some of the issues and the contradictions and attacks on it that are going on right now, with basically an attempt to take back the rights that African people fought and died for, and just fighting for this system, fighting against colonialism and the colonial domination of African people. And the chairman said that in the 1960s, the struggle to vote and the struggle for the Civil Rights Bill were life and death struggles against colonialism and what the chairman calls the colonial mode of production. This entire system built on slavery, built on kidnapping of African human beings for hundreds of years, built on theft and plunder and the greatest crimes that human beings can inflict on other human beings. And again, that African people, as the chairman made really clear, the right to vote was not given to African people by the US government. They fought and and died for the right, resulting finally in the Civil Rights Bill passage in 1964 and the voting rights in 1965. But, the chairman was saying how for hundreds of years, African people were lynched, were terrorized. The law meant nothing for the colonized. And, the chairman said that, African and the US government said that that white people had African people had no rights that any white person had to respect. And, they talked about the 13th Amendment, which abolished slavery and involuntary servitude, except for punishment for a crime. And we have what is now been called the new Jim Crow, which is the mass incarceration of African people that basically has been an attempt to wipe out the 13th Amendment by, US having the highest imprisonment rate in the entire world, with more African people in prison in this country than are imprisoned in huge countries like China and India and places that have double and triple the population of the US. And, the chairman said that, and makes it really clear that if you are colonized, the colonizer makes the law and will not make a law that ends colonialism, because this is the basis for this parasitic system that we live in. And as Afia stated it, the crime-making power is in the hands of the colonizer. And, it forced the lynching, the convict leasing, the Jim Crow, and the mass incarceration that they call the new Jim Crow. And, as the chairman said, this was an all-around struggle of African people in the 1960s, not against racism, but against colonialism, which affects and confronts African people, the colonized, on every front of their life. And this is what the chairman has called the colonial mode of production, the fact that colonialism is the DNA of the system we live in. It's not something just from a past period, not something that used to be in olden times or even 100 years ago. This is what this system is built on. Without the enslavement of African people and the plunder of Africa and the wealth of African people and oppressed and colonized people all around the world, there would be no wealth. There would be no highest standard of living in the world inside the US. And, when you look at the conditions that African people face, infant and maternal mortality, the income and education gap, the life expectancy, housing, every aspect of life, there is a huge gap between the reality for African people and for white people in this country. And that the struggle for voting rights was one front, again, of the struggle for power, Black power. And as the chairman has often said, when the Constitution and the Bill of Rights was written, African people weren't even citizens. So it was this time of Black revolution in the 1960s where African people fought and died for basic civil rights, the right to exist, the right for sovereignty, the right to have power over their lives. And that this struggle was so powerful and transforming. It transformed the world and the US, and it certainly was the most revolutionary period of US history, was the Black Power movement of the 1960s. The goals of the African working class were the exact opposite of everything that the US stands for and is. It was African people who were fighting for the power over their own lives, for peace, for justice, for reparations, an end to anyone living at the expense of anybody else. The Black Revolution also fought for and stood with the liberation. It was part of the struggle for the liberation of Africa and all African people, wherever they are, in Haiti and, throughout the world. And that also stood with the people of Vietnam, of China, and all oppressed and struggling peoples all over the world. And the US government attacked this to protect a parasitic social system that leaves people to die in the streets. They waged a counterinsurgency, which is a war against a revolutionary movement, a war to try to stop it. And it continued with the assault, the attack on the chairman himself by the US government, and myself and Jesse as part of the Uhuru 3, the attack on anti-colonial free speech that the chairman has fought for and is winning. And we have our appeal coming up very soon in Atlanta in July. We want to call on people to be there. And, we want to say to other white people that we know that there are thousands of white people out there in the world who don't want to be part of the oppressor nation. We don't want to be colonizers. We don't want war. We don't want genocide being carried out in our name. We want to pay reparations. We know that when African people are free, the world is free. And this is why we're in the African People's Solidarity Committee under the direct leadership of this incredible African People's Socialist Party. And this is why we support the Black Power Blueprint, the basketball court, the beautiful Shambhala Uhuru farm that the party is in the midst of creating. That's incredible. The beautiful garden, community garden, and Uhuru, just projects and programs of the Black Power Blueprint that make this North St. Louis here just absolutely a beautiful destination that turns the world, turns the conditions around for colonized African people. And this is why we have to support that. It's so amazing. I just went by the basketball court on my way back here from the Uhuru House today, and just so many African community, young people were out there playing basketball in this beautiful, beautiful court. The chairman talked about that bus that we all have to be on, going the same direction as African people. We want to be on that bus, and we can be on that bus. We're saying, join the African People's Solidarity Committee, join the Uhuru Solidarity Movement. Let's go forward. Let's build a culture of reparations, returning the stolen wealth to African people, and be part of the struggle to build this system under the leadership of the oppressed. We're building a new world in which all can live, no one at the expense of anyone else, without oppressors, without oppression. We can be free. Uhuru, reparations now. Uhuru.
Uhuru, reparations now. Thank you so much, Chairwoman Penny Hess. And again, I do want to shout out those presentations from Afia Nwangaza and the chairman. And right now, I talk about building a new world. I would like to bring up USM Chair Jesse Neville and Reparations Investment Company Volunteer Coordinator Camille to join me on camera. We're going to give some updates on the work of the Reparations Investment Company, what's the latest news from the projects, and the overall campaign and what is coming up, as well as how people can get involved. So we're gonna bring up a slideshow, and Jesse, do you want to start us off?
Uhuru. First, I just want to give a round of applause to this powerful, powerful event. Wow, this has been amazing. Salute to Chairwoman Penny Hess for that amazing presentation just now, and also those great videos from Afia Nwangaza and, of course, our chairman, Omali Yeshitela, whose understandings of this whole question of the Voting Rights Act and the struggle of African people for democratic rights as part of the struggle for the liberation and self-determination of African people, liberation from colonialism, is what informs our understanding, is the basis for our ability to understand all of these things. So just really want to salute this event, and really excited to be here. And Chairwoman Penny ended her presentation in such a perfect way to lead into this brief update, talking about the whole question of solidarity and reparations to African people, and getting on the bus, as the chairman says, the bus towards freedom for all of humanity. And that is why we support the Black Power Blueprint. That's why we participate in reparations in USM, APSC, and in the work of the Reparations Investment Company. So to be very concise here, I will just start this off by saying that we, of course, salute our leadership, Chairman Omali and Deputy Chair Onezene Yeshitela, and I want to appreciate the fact that the Reparations Investment Company is an extension of the long 50-plus year strategy of the chairman to build dual and contending power in the hands of the African working class, to go beyond protest and actually fight for the capture of political and economic power in the hands of African people to negate the colonial mode of production. That's what the party has always been about. And Deputy Chair has taken this out into the world in the most dynamic way you could possibly imagine, translating African internationalism into practice with the Black Power Blueprint and so much other work that she leads. And one of the latest brilliant innovations of the creative African internationalist genius that is Deputy Chair Onezene Shatella is the Reparations Investment Company. And I also want to again salute Chairwoman Penny Hess, who has led by example for all of us in the white community, showing what reparations in practice, a life of reparations to African people. And she continues to be that example as the chair of APSC, which we all strive to emulate. Uhuru. So again, the Reparations Investment Company is a project, a program of the Black Power Blueprint that Chairwoman Penny just talked about that has been working now for almost 10 years to create political and economic power in the hands of the African working class community of North St. Louis. And specifically, this program was put forward by Deputy Chair in response to generations of vicious colonial policy and attacks by both the US government and our general white population upon the African community of North St. Louis that has never stopped fighting, that has never stopped heroically resisting and fighting for their economic prosperity and their right to live and have control over their lives and destinies. And also in response to the tornado that happened last year, which exacerbated and exposed the depths of these attacks upon the African community of North St. Louis. So Deputy Chair basically posed the question, what if instead of real estate investment automatically meaning, being a buzzword for gentrification, what if you could invest in the opposite? What if you could invest in reverse gentrification? What if you could invest in the right of African people to reclaim Black community control of land, housing, and economic life in their neighborhoods? And that's where the idea came from the leadership of Deputy Chair to create a reparations-driven model of community development. So RIC is a renovation program. It's an investment opportunity. It's a volunteer campaign. It's so many things. It's part of the independent African economy. It's part of the new world. It's not just a campaign. It's actually part of building this new world. And what it's doing practically is acquiring properties on the north side that have been left to rot by the city government and restoring them, improving the housing stock in the north side without displacing the African community, revitalizing the north side, as the next slide says, without displacement, without gentrification. It is a positive alternative to gentrification. Deputy Chair always says, make the south side look like the north side without make the north side look like the south side without gentrification, except the north side is going to be way more beautiful because it's going to be shaped by Black power. Uhuru. So there are 3 properties now under renovation. Please compare and contrast this to the fact that over a year after the devastating tornado of May 16th, 2025, the St. Louis government under Mayor Kara Spencer has done absolutely nothing to repair the damage caused by colonialism and made even worse by a tornado that looked very different on the north side than it did in the central West End and in the white areas of town. So meanwhile, RIC is not wasting a minute acquiring properties, winning investors, recruiting volunteers, getting contractors on board to revitalize properties in North St. Louis. These properties will be for sale or for rent in the community. All profits and proceeds will be reinvested into the work of Black Star Industries, the Black Power Blueprint. It is about creating an economy where the resources circulate amongst and within and between the African working class itself. So you can actually become an investor. You can go to reparationsinvestment.com and click invest and fill out the intake form, and a member of our team will set up a meeting with you. We do have some incredible investors that have stepped forward to take this stand, and it's a real investment. It means that you can put in at minimum of $2,500 towards the acquisition and renovation of a property in North St. Louis for at least 1 year, during which you will be earning 7.5% interest while contributing to the exponential social transformation being made possible by the African Self-Determination Program of RIC. Next slide. So I'm going to close my section by just saluting our amazing team. Got to, above all, salute the party, salute Deputy Chair and the chairman. for all of their leadership, and Deputy Chair's whole office, by the way. There's people that are not mentioned, like Stephanie and other comrades who have been instrumental in providing training from the Deputy Chair's leadership to this program and to our comrades. But these are the ones who are making it happen, and they're amazing. I just want to salute all of them. Amanda, Brendan, Camille, you're going to hear from both of them in just a minute. Kara heads up our donor and investment committee. Leah Fifield, incredible comrade, and plays so many different roles, including on the donor team. Indigo, our promotions coordinator. Dylan, our contractor and training. Jamie, our sponsorship and acquisitions coordinator. Wendy, our Western regional coordinator, who's also on the donor investment team. Virginia Wilson, our membership coordinator. Peter Roderick, just all around awesome. Comrade, consultant, contracting consultant. Janet Van Fleet, organizer extraordinaire out in Tacoma. Redbeard, who's on the sponsorship and acquisition team. Comrade Johan Bedingfield is also on that team. And there's many others. I'm self-critical to everyone, and I apologize to everybody I left out. It is not a statement of lack of appreciation for the amazing work that you do. Uhuru. Next slide. So, this is actually my last slide. We want to salute Angel and Elliott Constructions. We singled him out because he's done work on all 3 properties, and he's done a lot of work, and he's a friend of the Black Power Blueprint, and he's an example of who the deputy chair is, calling on us to work with and build partnerships with, because he believes in the mission of African people having self-determination. And those are the contractors and construction teams and development groups that RIC will be employing and partnering with. So you can be a part of this, and these comrades are going to talk to you about how you can be a part of this. And 40 people want to be a part of this that signed up with us at the Punk Rock Flea Market, which was happening. I don't know if I'm sorry, I had to step away from it, so I might have missed it. I don't know if we showed pictures of the African Arts Festival, which was also absolutely incredible, but maybe we can at some point. But this was going on simultaneously, and USM was able to sign up 40 people who were enthusiastically interested. This is coming off the heels of the Earth Fest, where we signed up 80 people. So the base is growing. The word is getting out there. We have a lot more to do, but the foundation is being laid for a powerful movement for reparations through RIC. So now I'm going to turn over to Brendan, our projects committee chair, who is going to talk to you about the updates on the property that is the focus of the development work right now. And then we'll hear from our incredible NTU volunteer coordinator for RIC, Camille, who will talk about some of the volunteer campaign work that's been happening. And then I'll close it out with just announcing some upcoming opportunities to get involved. Uhuru.
Uhuru, thank you, Chair Jesse. And I just want to, mimic that salute to our leadership, and of course to everybody, involved with organizing RIC. And it's getting very difficult to name everybody involved, because these teams are growing, and they have to be. That's the goal. And we'll talk about how you can, become a part of these growing teams in just a second. But here is, project number 1. This home we are renovating, and it will be for sale with a target date. We want to be finished with this by July 4th, 2026. So 30 something days away. So next slide. Okay, and these are just some of the things that have been completed on this property. So the roof replaced, the removal of the pipes in the basement from the old, boiler, the kitchen tile removal, bathroom demo, sanding the walls, framing and drywalling in the kitchen. We have a flower garden planted. There's a lifted bed in the front that is now absolutely beautiful. So the HVAC is close to completion, as well as the electric. So we've been working on the yard, at every single volunteer day, getting the yard cleaned, getting yard work done. So the kitchen plan has been finalized. The kitchen floor, the pre-floor is down. So the first phase of that is completed. So framing and drywalling has been done in both bathrooms, as well as a lot in the kitchen. And there is an egress that has been made from the kitchen to the dining room. The way it was before, there was like 2 entrances to the bathroom. So that's been cut off, just 1 entrance to the bathroom. And now you can kind of go from the kitchen to the dining room, and the house just flows a lot better. So next slide. And that's just some of the things that have been completed so far. So the upcoming priorities, so plumbing, of course, which is in progress, window replacement also in progress, cabinet installation in the kitchen, framing and drywalling upstairs for the hallway ceiling. We want to get the toilets installed in the bathrooms, as well as the shower installed. There's some damaged plaster and drywall in places that we want to get patched and look professional and as if nothing ever happened there. And then of course we want to get our appliances purchased and or donated and installed. And then for the volunteer day coming up, we're going to be doing some paint priming in some of the rooms that are ready for that. So next slide. And how you can get involved. So join the RIC Projects Committee. That is the committee that I am the chair of. So we meet on Tuesday nights, 6:30 p.m. Central on Zoom. And at the Uhuru Solidarity Center, but you can join from anywhere. In these meetings, we do have joint meetings with the other committees as well. So if you've got Tuesday nights and you want to join this, in any capacity, you can. But these are some of the things that we're looking for in our committee. So people to join the sponsorship and in-kind materials donations, as well as just acquiring, maybe getting on Facebook Marketplace and, researching, finding things that, tools or equipment that we need for RIC. Also interior designers, and shout out to Camille for leading that. Right now, we also are looking for, skilled volunteers and skilled consultants. That includes carpenters, roofers, tuck pointers, electricians, window installers, plumbers, tile installers, painters. And we've got some skilled people that are involved, but, we want as many as possible to join in this project. And then also property acquisition researchers. We want to find, these 3 projects, that's not it. That's just the start. So we want this to, grow exponentially. And, that cannot happen without, until we've got some comrades looking, for new properties. So next slide. I also want to salute the RIC donor campaign coordinator, Kara Locke, and urge anybody who is interested to join the donor committee, which involves hosting fundraisers, networking, and outreach to large donors, moneyed sector, givebacks, and other appreciation, researchers, community engagement and outreach, as well as speaking at churches, universities, other events. So next slide. And of course, promotions and outreach. Salute to Comrade Indigo for leading this. We are looking for people to be a part of social media, graphic designers, both print and digital, video editors, writers, event coordinators, media specialists, faith-based outreach, campus outreach, newsletter coordinator, proofreaders, copy editors, photographers, videographers. If that sounds like, something that you know how to do or want to learn how to do, reach out to us and join this committee. And next slide. I want to turn it over to our incredible volunteer coordinator, Camille. Uhuru.
Uhuru. Thank you, Brendan. Thank you, Jesse. And as you have heard, there are many people to salute. And while we're doing all this work, as Deputy Chair Onozune Yeshitela has correctly said before, volunteers are the heart and soul of the Black Power Blueprint, and we could not do any of this work without them. So It's amazing that we can plan all these things, and it's crucial that we have volunteers to help us implement them. So we are here, I am here to salute and coordinate the volunteers for RIC. We've had several successful volunteer days. Next slide. And we have done some amazing things, starting with unsealing windows that had been painted shut, as is a trend in St. Louis for some unknowable reason. As well as, demoing a bathroom, removing the kitchen tiling, subsequently deciding to get the subfloor redone so that, it's sturdy and safe, as well as removing debris, foliage, smoothing out walls, dealing with bubbling of plastic paint. And that's why you don't use plastic paint, because it's not quality. And so we really want to provide quality so that the work we do with skilled and unskilled people is something that will last and be the best for the African and Black community. Next slide. We have three Saturdays in May that we are doing volunteering. We've already completed May 9th and May 16th, and we have a really big one coming up on May 30th, starting at 9 a.m. You can sign up at the link, or if you have a contact info for any of us that have been presenting, feel free to shoot us a text and say, I'll be there. And we'll go, awesome. So excited to have you. And if you have people in town or people that you know and you're like, well, I want to go, but other people kind of want to hang out with me, bring them with you. In one of the earlier slides, my parents were in the photo and they came to visit me, and I was like, well, see, I'm leading this volunteer day. So you can come hang out with me, or you can go sit at a cafe by yourself. And they were like, we'll come with you. And I was like, cool. Here you go. We're gonna remove a toilet, unseal a window, like, let's get to work. So, this can be a family-friendly atmosphere, and we have a wonderful connection or relationship building with the neighbors. They've been really supportive as well, and very interested in the work that we're doing. So yeah, come hang out with us.
Uhuru, thanks, Camille. And yeah, it's been so exciting to see that there are new people, new volunteers showing up at every volunteer day from a variety of sources, whether it's, InPDUM leading the speak out at the City Hall budget meeting and somebody there signed up and has become a consistent volunteer, or whether it's driving by and seeing the Uhuru Solidarity Center or meeting us at Earthfest, or seeing a social media graphic. People are coming from all different ways. And as the chairman and deputy chair always say, all roads lead to Uhuru. So it's really great that these volunteer days are happening. I do want to give a special shout out to Betsy and Ron Clark, Camille's parents. They were amazing. Volunteers. I'm really glad they decided not to go sit in a coffee shop and instead to join us, because your father single-handedly demoed a whole bathroom. It was incredible in like 10 minutes or something. So, okay, so this is the next volunteer day, as mentioned by Camille, Saturday, May 30th. You can sign up at reparationsinvestment.com/volunteer. And just to close this presentation out, June 10th, little typo in there. It's supposed to say Wednesday. USM open meeting at the Solidarity Center, 2654 Gravois, or Zoom. Information for how to sign up on Zoom will be going out. This is open to everyone nationally. We had an amazing presentation by Deputy Chair Onas Anayashatella at our last open meeting, and several people signed up to join the different committees of RIC. So we want to keep that going. We got to do a lot of media work. We got to get the word out about this. We need to be the most visible presence in St. Louis when it comes to this whole question of renovation and revitalization. Has to be the reparations investment company, the Uhuru movement, the African community taking back control of their neighborhoods, and white people coming on board and standing in solidarity as a stand of reparations, because it is a new world under construction. We can be a part of it. July 4th, the day that the U.S. government is going to be holding its pathetic celebrations of the 250th anniversary of the birth of the settler colonial regime known as the United States, we will be celebrating the completion of the first RIC property and the emergence of the new world under construction that the African working class is bringing into being. And we're very honored to be a part of it, to have the ability to stand with it and say unity through reparations. Uhuru.
Uhuru, Uhuru. Yes, I unite. It's going to be fantastic. Thank you, Jesse and Camille, for joining me for that great presentation. And it's incredible to see, all of the amazing work that, the contractors have been doing, that the volunteers have been doing, that everyone involved in these committees has been doing. And I just want to remind everyone, we will be going to a Q&A shortly. So just a reminder to please submit questions in the Zoom Q&A feature or in the YouTube or Facebook chat. But before that, I do want to take a few minutes to tell you how you can get involved in solidarity with African people's struggle for liberation and support this work. The most important thing that we can do to stand with all oppressed people is to join under the leadership of the African Revolution. And that is what APSC was created to do. We had a goal tonight to raise at least $500 for the Uhuru Solidarity Center in St. Louis. So go to apscuhuru.org/donate. And I just want to say this Solidarity Center has been like an absolutely vital resource for all of this work that RIC is doing. This is a place where we meet, to get all of these things organized. This is a place where, we can hold events, and we're visible right there on one of the main streets in St. Louis. We've got this sign that says unity with reparations. I've had so many people coming up to our booths at these events recently talking about, oh, is that the place on like Jefferson and Gravois and with the unity through reparations sign? And, people already know about us, and it just that knowledge, that familiarity brings them to our table, and we can tell them, what we do here. So I do want to thank everyone who has donated and pledged so far. That includes Kitty Riley, Stephen Reynolds, Lisa Watson, MQ, Brendan, Carrie, Allie, Janice, Uhuru Chairman, Deputy Chair, and Chairwoman Penny, Uhuru, as well as Camille. Heck yeah. Awesome. So we are at $440. We're just a mere $60 away from our goal tonight. So I want to urge everyone, go to apscuhuru.org/donate. Let's beat this goal tonight. And if you're watching this online, at a later time, you can still go and support. And I just want to say, these funds that we're raising tonight, that we raise at all of these APSC events, they go to the expenses of the Uhuru Solidarity in St. Louis. This building is owned by the African People's Socialist Party, and we as APSC are responsible to develop and promote this building as we build the movement for white people's reparations to the African community of St. Louis and beyond. As we build the RIC, it is the headquarters of the African People's Solidarity Committee and the Uhuru Solidarity Movement in the U.S. and around the world. So I cannot stress enough how vital it is, that we hit this goal and we keep, we take care of all these expenses for the center. So here's some slides, just a little bit of history. The African People's Solidarity Committee is unique in that it is a strategic front of the African liberation movement behind enemy lines in the white community, led by the African People's Socialist Party and founded in 1976. The mass organization of APSC is the Uhuru Solidarity Movement with members in 130 cities in the US and Canada. APSC is a cadre organization. That means that we adhere to African internationalism, the worldview of the African People's Socialist Party, which is a worldview to change the world, not just analyze it. It is a theory that demands practice. Right now, that practice is RIC. So the national headquarters of APSC and USM is the Uhuru Solidarity Center at 2654 Gravois Avenue here in St. Louis, Missouri. It's an incredible space from which we plan campaigns like the annual Days of Reparations campaign, as well as teach-ins, different outreach activities, actions, the reparations, all the reparations work that APSC and USM carry out. This is a photo from the booth at St. Louis Earth Day Festival a few weekends ago. The main work of APSC and USM is reparations, returning stolen resources to the programs of the party and building political and economic power to the African working class, including the Black Power Blueprint, as well as the Uhuru Houses, Uhuru Foods, Black Power 96 FM radio, and the Burning Spear newspaper. And we are incredibly excited for Uhuru Bakery and Cafe to open this year, uplifting the whole north side of St. Louis by making healthy food and employment available in the African community. These are some photos from the Uhuru Bakery and Cafe's booth at the African Arts Festival in St. Louis a few days ago. So an incredible event. Okay. Another critical front of all the work under the leadership of the party is the Hands Off Uhuru, Hands Off Africa campaign, which is pushing back the state attacks on the African liberation movement and leading the struggle for anti-colonial free speech. Check out the latest Hands Off Uhuru webinar titled Hands Off Cuba, Iran, and Venezuela on the Burning Spear TV YouTube channel. Uhuru. And I just want to stress again, the Uhuru Solidarity Center. The center is a vital resource for people from the white community in St. Louis to come together to plan and organize events. It's also community outreach, fundraisers for reparations, and solidarity with the Black liberation movement. So we want to call on you to contribute to the work of APSC and this center. Go to apscuhuru.org/donate. You can make a one-time contribution or become a monthly sustainer. I want to shout out Michael, Virginia, Leah, and so many others who give every month. And again, I do want to thank everybody who has donated and pledged so far. And then one more time, that website, apscuhuru.org/donate. So let's keep going until we reach that goal. We'll keep announcing new contributions throughout the rest of the program. But I do want to talk a little bit about another way that you can get involved right now, and that is to join the African People's Solidarity Committee. You can go to apscuhuru.org/join to fill out the form. Someone from our membership office will contact you within 24 hours, and we can get started on the new member process, which includes political education and getting to work, contributing your skills and strengths to our mission of winning millions in reparations to the African liberation struggle and building a massive movement, white solidarity with Black power under the leadership of the African People's Socialist Party. So this is the time to bring all the stolen resources from African people for hundreds of years to the African Revolution. So join today. Go to apscuhuru.org/join. Okay, now, as we head into our Q&A, I just want to recognize where people are tuning in from, and a thank you to our chat moderators for pulling this all together. So we've got folks tuning in from Newcastle, Pennsylvania, Louisville, Kentucky, Sumter, South Carolina, as well as Oakland, California, and of course, St. Louis, Missouri. So, shout out wherever you're tuning in from. We're so happy you're here joining us for this event, for this presentation and discussion. And let's see, we do have, question. Oh, I do want to shout out Indigo. So for his donation, our new total is $460. So we are just $40 away from that goal. So keep on donating while we go to our questions. So we have Mulaney on Zoom has asked, what forums can we hold for those opposed to voting? And I will offer that question up to whoever would like to tackle that. I don't know, Chairwoman Penny or Chair Jesse. So Uhuru, what forums can we hold for those opposed to voting?
Uhuru.
Uhuru Chompeni.
Well, I think the Black Power blueprint. I
Yeah.
mean, if you're opposed to voting for the US government, there's a whole world of standing for reparations to African people. I think that's a really good way to express that, not just opposition to voting, but to what is going on, but a positive stand in solidarity with the right of African people to have self-determination and national liberation. So I think what we're doing right here, join the Uhuru Solidarity Movement. That is the thing to
Yes.
do, Uhuru.
Yep, absolutely. So join the Solidarity Movement or join the Solidarity Committee. Hop on board with this if you're not satisfied, if you're sick of this system, ready for it to be dismantled and done. This is the way, towards a new future, a new world under construction for everyone. So this is, join under the leadership of the African People's Socialist Party. Uhuru. Okay. I believe. Okay, so yeah, just shout out to everybody who donated. Keep donating. If you're watching this recording, you can still donate. And I do believe, do we have? Sorry, our chat moderators are putting in a little, some new information. I believe and we will have some announcements of some upcoming events here soon. Uhuru Ruby, $25. So that gets us so close to our goal. We are 15 away, and you know what? I will put in another $15 to get us there. But I do want to strongly urge, everyone else who's watching this now or who's watching the recording to go to apsc.uhuru.org/donate and make your contribution. So we did it. We hit our goal. Keep donating. Before we move into announcements and closing, I did want to ask Chairwoman Penny, do you have any final words for everybody on today?
I would say unity through
reparations.
Thank you to the African People's Socialist Party, to all the comrades who are on here today. And we are winning because we are under the leadership of the African Revolution. Uhuru.
Yes, Uhuru. Thank you, Chairwoman Penny. And then here are our announcements, our upcoming events. And we're getting those slides pulled up right now. Uhuru. On June 6th and 7th, come to the 10th Annual Electoral Campaign School, hosted by the Black is Back Coalition for Social Justice, Peace, and Reparations. The campaign school is centered on advancing Black self-determination, independent political power, proportional representation, and the organized struggle for liberation. You can register at tinyurl.com/BIB School 2026 or call 314-380-8013. And this is always an incredibly, informative and enlightening program. Uhuru, next slide. Start making your plans to be in Atlanta, Georgia for the Uhuru 3's appeal oral arguments. There will be a rallying event the day before, and oral arguments themselves are scheduled for Wednesday, July 22nd. So stay tuned to handsoffuhuru.org for more details as they develop. And I just want to say that I will be there. I hope to see, everybody on tonight out there as well. Next slide. So subscribe to get the Burning Spear news and analysis sent to your email inbox. visit theburningspear.substack.com. Uhuru. We are an organization of organizers. We are on the ground doing outreach, talking with people face to face. So, we call on all APSC and Uhuru Solidarity Movement members and supporters to read and distribute the best organizing tool we have, the Burning Spear newspaper. Now is the time to order bundles of the June issue. You can go to theburningspear.store. And just a reminder that you can find resources to support your spear distribution efforts at apscuhuru.org/spear toolkit. Uhuru Planet Reparations apparel is clothing, accessories, and more that is forwarding the culture of white reparations to African people. It is an institution of Black Star Industries. You can shop the online store at uhuruplanet.com. Make sure to order one of the new APSC 50th anniversary shirts, available as a unisex or women's t-shirt, long sleeve shirt, or hoodie. I've got my long sleeve shirt at home. Strongly urge. It's a fantastic shirt. Find details about these and more upcoming events at theburningspear.com/events. And I do want to, thank everybody once again who donated. If you're watching this recording, at a later date, you can still contribute. And make sure to visit uhurusolidarity.org and apscuhuru.org to learn more about the Uhuru Solidarity Movement, the African People's Solidarity Committee, and how you can become a member and join this work to build white solidarity with Black power and unity through reparations. Thank you so much to our presenters and to everyone that participated tonight. And salute to Afia Nongaza and, of course, the chairman for those incredible presentations that we saw. And as the chairman says, it's not just Trump, it's the whole damn system. Saluting APSC's 50 years of white solidarity with Black power, 50 years of reparations in action under the leadership of the party. This is solidarity, not charity. And as Chairman Penny says, unity through reparations.